After losing to the Celtics in the finals, the Mavericks knew they needed to upgrade the supporting cast around Luka and Kyrie. Over the summer, they brought in sharpshooters like Klay Thompson and Quentin Grimes, reunited with backup point guard Spencer Dinwiddie, and signed veteran player Najee Marshall. The Mavericks have hit on all these pickups. While Luka and Kyrie are continuing to put up superstar production, the Mavericks supporting cast has powered them to a lot of these wins. Now, the Mavericks are the hottest team in the league. After winning their last 7 games, they've got the longest win streak in the NBA, which places them at the 2nd seed in the Western Conference. But how exactly are these guys thriving, and do the Mavericks' improvements bring them closer to winning the championship? Let's break it down, but first, we gotta discuss BetUS. Guys, if you love the NBA, then I strongly recommend joining BetUS. You could bet on the games, and you could also make predictions, and if correct, you could cash out. With how well the Mavericks are playing, they look on pace for another finals run, so I'm betting on them to win the Western Conference. If you sign up, use the code YouTube150 and receive a 150% sign-up bonus on the first deposit and 125% on the second and third deposits of up to $2,000. Now back to the Mavericks. Their dominance of course starts with Luka. He's one of the most unguardable players in the world. A huge amount of his scoring comes from long range. Most of his threes are self-created, where he often uses step backs to create separation. He starts to move off by driving to the basket, which forces the defender to move their feet to try to cut off his drive. Then he retreats and steps back, which creates all the space he needs to get the shot off. He also gets a lot of threes from pick and rolls. If the big doesn't show out to the perimeter, these open pull-up threes are like layups for Luka. But even when his jump shot is well defended, it doesn't matter. Luka can still hit. He's got incredible shooting touch even when the defender gets a hand up. A lot of his damage also comes in the paint. Unlike other players that rely on athleticism and explosiveness to score, Luka relies on craftiness to finesse defenders. He'll often use decelerations to score on his drives. Once Luka gets into the paint, he'll often slow down, which causes the big man to mistime their jump, helping him to avoid getting blocked and get the finish. He also gets big men to mistime their jump with the use of pump fakes, getting them in the air and getting himself an easy layup. Luka is incredibly strong, helping him to maintain his balance, absorb contact, and still finish. And he also uses floaters and high off the glass layups to finish over shot blockers in the paint. A big part of his excellent play is also his playmaking. He's got amazing court vision, allowing him to find passing angles that most other players would miss, and he could pull off virtually every pass in the book. A lot of his assists comes out of the pick and rolls. Because he's such a great scorer, he often gets multiple defenders to commit to him, allowing him to set up the Mavericks' big men for alley-oops. The pressure he puts on the rim with his driving also draws defenders into the paint, allowing him to set up the Mavericks' shooters. Overall, he's an offensive juggernaut. While his efficiency may be a tad bit down from his normal standards, he's still having an MVP caliber season. We also gotta talk about Kyrie Irving. He's one of the most offensively gifted players in the history of the league, making him nearly impossible to defend one-on-one. With that incredible handle and his quick first step, Kyrie can get to the rim at will, and he's got one of the best layup packages. And even if defenders do keep him in front, he's great at turning his drives into fadeaways in the mid-range. He's also having a career year from beyond the arc. He creates a lot of threes for himself with step backs and off the dribble moves, and he's been hitting these tough pull-ups at a high percentage. As a co-star, Kyrie is a perfect complement to Luka. Not only can he take over games at any moment, but his shooting ability helps him to thrive while playing off the ball. The superstar duo of Kyrie and Luka are a great 1-2 punch, but this dominant stretch has been a total team effort. In fact, the Mavs have a 5-1 record in games without Luka. How have they pulled this off? Several of the Mavericks role players have really stepped up. PJ Washington has become one of their top scoring options. The Mavs often let him exploit mismatches in the post, where his size and strength helps him back down smaller defenders for an easy finish at the rim. He's also having a career year beyond the arc. Last year, Washington was a poor shooter, so defenders would often leave him open, but now he's draining 39% of his threes, and he's skilled enough to attack defenders that close out on him and finish at the rim. Especially when you consider what he does on defense, PJ may be the Mavs' third most impactful player after Luka and Kyrie. Another valuable role player for the Mavericks has been Najee Marshall. In the games that Luka missed due to injury, Marshall became the starting small forward, In that time, he had several big-time performances, dropping 20 or more points in 4 games, which helped the Mavericks to continue to rack up wins during Luka's absence. He's shown that when he gets the shot attempts, he can be a very good scorer. Most of his points come in the paint, often from taking guys off the dribble. His floaters in the lane are lethal. He also excels in transition, where he's fast enough to beat the other team down the court to get easy scoring chances on the fast break. And while his 3-point shooting hasn't been good for most of the season, in recent games he's become a knockdown shooter, and this enables him to attack closing out defenders off the catch and get to the rim. Having Marshall as an off-the-bench spark plug, but also as a player that can start and take over games, is a hell of a luxury. Another guy that's giving the Mavericks a big scoring boost is Spencer Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie was struggling to start the season, but over the Mavericks win streak, he's had plenty of big games. He's become one of the Mavericks' top ball handlers and playmakers. Thanks to his handle and quickness, he can penetrate and get to the hoop anytime he wants, and he's got strong finishing moves to score over the help defense. He's a big outside threat as well, able to hit off the dribble threes even when well defended. The pressure that he puts on the rim with his driving makes him a great distributor, where he racks up a ton of assists, whether it's drive and kicks to open shooters or throwing lobs to the Mavericks' big men. Overall, having Dinwiddie as a backup point guard that can score and facilitate at a high level has been a godsend for the Mavericks. Quentin Grimes has also been a big part of the Mavericks' success. He's been one of their top shooters, where on the season he's shooting 43% from downtown. He's gotten plenty of outside shots from playing next to so many good playmakers, and he's been feasting on the open looks. Most of his baskets are assisted, but the Mavs will also run plays for him, having him come off screens and handoffs to get space for open shots. Another great shooter for the Mavericks has been Klay Thompson. While he doesn't have the ability to score off the dribble at an elite level like he did in his prime, he's still been one of the Mavericks' best 3-point shooters, and having so many great shooters has made the Mavericks' offense tough to defend. Guys like Kyrie and Luka are incredible scorers, and the great floor spacing gives them room to operate. Defenses have no choice but to pick their poison, where they either watch their defenders get torched in isolation or provide help defense and allow the Mavericks shooters to get hot. The Mavericks' incredible shooting, scoring talent, and depth makes them a great offensive team, but they're also winning with their elite defense. PJ Washington is their top on-ball defender. He's incredibly agile, helping him to keep in front of driving players and force them into heavily contested shots. He's also a versatile defender, able to keep up with quicker guards while also being big and strong enough to defend forwards and centers. And outside of PJ, the Mavericks have other lockdown defenders like Quentin Grimes and Najee Marshall to slow down the best player on the other team. And even if opponents are able to get past their initial defender, the Mavericks do a great job of rotating really well to provide help defense. Derek Lively II and Dale Gafford are both great shot blockers, giving the Mavericks 48 minutes of elite rim protection. Thanks to great defensive talent and teamwork, the Mavericks are an amazing defensive team. So that's how the Mavericks are the hottest team in the NBA. But can they return to the finals, and will they win the championship this year? I think it's very possible, because this Mavericks team looks like a better version of last year's Mavericks squad that got to the finals. Now, that team was very good, but they were also very flawed. They didn't have enough scoring options outside of Kyrie and Luka, so if one of those guys were having a cold night, they didn't have enough guys that could pick up the scoring slack. They also didn't have enough shooting around them, and that really came to hurt them in the finals, where the Celtics had no problem helping off of PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. to stifle the Mavericks offense, because they knew those guys weren't good shooters. Well, now PJ Washington is a much improved shooter, and the Mavericks have much better 3-point shooting on the team. They've also got much better scoring options, so they're not as reliant on Kyrie and Luka going off to win games. So there's no guarantees in sports, but I think the Mavericks have put themselves in a much better position to win the title this year. But that's gonna be it for me, and I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of how the Mavericks have played this season? Do you think they can win the championship? Let me see your thoughts down below in the comment section. Guys, I'm going to continue to talk about the Mavericks all season long, so if that sounds like something that will interest you, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope to catch you guys all next video.